Press on. Okay. All right. Welcome everybody to the Coos Bay School District regular school board meeting 10/13/25. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can I get a motion on to approve the agenda?
I'd like to motion to approve the agenda.
I will second that.
Thank you, Arnie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay, motion passed. Next up, we have the consent agenda. Do you hear a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Carol. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, motion passed. Thank you. All right, now we're going to move along to announce vacancies on budget committee. Correct, David?
Yes.
Yes.
And then read off what we got here, right?
Yes.
The whole letter. Okay, here we go. Public notice, Coos Bay School District 9 Budget Committee vacancy. The Coos Bay School District Board of Directors is seeking letters of interest to participate on its Budget Committee position 3, position 4, and position 7 for the term expiring June 30th, 2028. The interested people who are registered voters living within the district and boundary should submit a letter of interest to our board secretary, David, so davidc@coosbay.k12.ors. US by 8. It's on the record. 8:00 a.m. November 3rd, 2025. Please include the following in your letter: your name, address, phone number, and email, why you'd like to serve on the budget committee, what skills and experience you have that benefit the committee. Please use the subject line budget committee vacancy in your submission. The budget committee reviews the district's budget and recommends needed changes. The committee conducts business in evening public meetings held between May and June. The budget committee also approves the budget document and forwards it to the school board for adoption by the end of June. Those wishing to know more about the Coos Bay School District Budget Committee and its works, please call the superintendent's office 541-267-1310. Published October 13, 2025.
So, quick question. If the public's interested, they can find this letter on our website.
They can't yet because it hadn't been announced, but it will be up tomorrow.
Yes.
That's the letter. Was there any more announcements that I had to add to that, David, or that was it?
No, that's it for that one. And then there's the,
Recognition of National Principals Month?
Yep.
Whoa, it shrunk down. Hang on. Went down to like size 0 font. Oh, man. Okay, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the incredible leadership of our principals and vice principals during National Principals Month. In the Coos Bay School District, our core mission is that each student is known by name, strengths, and needs. All students graduate with a plan, enrolled, employed, or enlisted with the 3 E's. This isn't just a statement, it's a promise we make to our community and commitment we make to every student who walks through our doors. Our principals and assistant principals are the ones who bring this mission to life every single day. They're the heart of our schools, fostering environments where students feel seen and supported. They guide our educators, connect our families, and inspire our students to each their full potential. The dedication they show to ensure every student has a clear path forward is truly remarkable. On behalf of the Coos Bay School Board and our entire community, we thank you for your unwavering commitment to our students and for your exceptional leadership. Sincerely, Board of Directors, Coos Bay School District.
And vice principals.
Okay, now we're over to our, if I'm correct, our MHS student rep, Warren. What do you have for us today?
So for this one, I decided I'm going to ease in the student's request into digestible portions. So I've only put in 200 needed for this one. Starting with academics and events, we have the SAT and PSAT testing on the 29th, ACT and PACT tomorrow on Tuesday, and work Ps per trio. There's no ASVAB due to program shutdown from Proctor not working. My quote is, I feel more motivated to achieve the results I want in academics. And I'm an anonymous Red Bull addict. 110 are going to the Southern Oregon Trades Expo for our birth month. 56 are going to the College and Career Fair. The FAFSA is open, helping applications for scholarships and college applications. Fun in the field, U-boat visitation during AVID. Over 350 youth attended the homecoming dance. Devin Pedersen and Maya Johnson, homecoming king and queen. College and career fair on 15th at Casino. Upcoming winter competition for cheer, dance, choir, speech and debate, and dance. Drama club will be performing Dracula with auditions next week. For sports, we have homecoming game, won with a score of 54-12. Winter sports registration open starting November 17th, swimming, wrestling, and basketball. Varsity girls soccer game against North Bend today. Girls volleyball is currently number 2 in state, playing Marist in the first on Thursday. Boys and girls soccer players tonight. Volleyball hosting 3A and 4A state volleyball championship November 7th and 8th. Next quote. In trio, we get options to pursue in life, provide tools, how to get there. Like me, for example, who plans to join the Army. They recommended college and then the Army to help plan and extract my full potential by giving me opportunities and help. Lexi Wright. Improvements needed. Many students struggle being on time as they will be late from time to time as other things they need to do before class, such as personal needs and turning in assignments, tasks, time, making sure it gets turned in on time. More advisory, just 1 week we can do it. All right. For school changes. For school changes, there is a new culinary teacher, and he has been described as more experienced, stating he has 30 years of experience and has taught me and others so much in a short time by actually applying the information and giving us a hands-on approach, even with networking opportunities with the college OCCI by Brandon Geary. Following schedule changes throughout week due to the testing on Tuesday. More participation in students has been noticed by Michael Secord. New broadcast journalism teacher, Mr. Del Negro. Miss Hardy is the new English teacher. Mr. Rigdon, new resource teacher. Mrs. Sheffer, the new independent skills teacher. Ms. Gibson, the new math teacher. And November 12th to 13th is the parent teacher conferences.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Warren. Okay, and we have any questions for Warren? All right, thank you, Warren. Thank you. Up next on the agenda, we have item public input requests. And so before we start with that, I'll get here. We got, if you wish to address the board during the time of public input, please sign below and declare. Okay, you got that part. Speakers may offer objective criticism of school operations and programs, but the board will not hear personal complaints concerning school personnel or against any person connected with the school system. A school chair or vice chair will direct the visitor to the appropriate means for board consideration and disposition of legitimate complaints involving individuals. The time limit is 3 minutes. David will run the clock. And then we have 2 down here. Are we still sitting at 2 for public input?
Yes.
Okay, so first up, we'll have Jennifer, if you could come up, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, members of the school board. My name is Rachel Wersing. I'm the Public Works Director for the City of Coos Bay, and I'm here on behalf of the City of Coos Bay to express strong support for the school board's continued stewardship of the Millicoma Marsh Trail, along with the adoption of the Millicoma Marsh Management Plan in 2000 and then a revised plan in 2018. The trail and its connected system are valuable community assets located within the city limits, and although they are not designated city parks, they serve the public in significant ways, along with the goals outlined in the city's 2023 or 2033 Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Facilities Plan. The city's 10-year plan was developed through a robust public engagement process, including extensive community surveys that highlighted the Millicoma Marsh Trail as a vital open space in Eastside. The trail's accessibility and its natural setting make it an essential outdoor space for residents of all ages. The city faces ongoing financial challenges in maintaining our current parks, such as Mingus Parks, Empire Lakes, and other smaller facilities due to limited funding and staffing. The city understands, recognizes, and commends the school board's forward-thinking decision to adopt the Millicoma Marsh Management Plan. The plan's emphasis on community involvement aligns closely with the city's own shift towards encouraging public partnership programs like our adopted parks. I also want to highlight the city's support through past actions. Prior to the district's most recent improvements to the driveway and trailhead parking area, the city facilitated a culvert replacement project that enhanced access and helped protect the site's environmental integrity. The city remains committed to supporting the trail and marsh area as much as resources allow. Thank you again for your leadership and for investing in a space that offers educational, environmental, and recreational benefits to the entire community. We look forward to continued collaboration in preserving and enhancing the Millicoma Marsh Trail for future generations. A letter from the city manager, if you'd like it for the record. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny, for coming in. Okay, next up we have Martins. Is there a Martins? Oh, here we go. You're behind the post. Thank you for coming in.
My name is Anita Martins, and I would just like to inform you, the Coos Bay School Board, of my family's experience at the Lighthouse School. It started 11 years ago when my now sophomore son started kindergarten. I was apprehensive. I didn't know a lot about a Waldorf-inspired education, but I knew that my child would not thrive in the public school that we would be assigned to by address. We were immediately welcomed and embraced as valued members of the Lighthouse community. At that time, our school was located in a wing of the North Bend Middle School, and although the curriculum and the staff were wonderful, the physical environment was not ideal. That spring, we were able to secure our charter through the Coos Bay School District, and we were offered the Bunker Hill location. We, as a parent army, worked through the summer cleaning and painting classrooms, building a playground, planting a garden, and purchasing furniture for our new space. We breathed new life into a building that had been vacant for several years, and it has been an exceptional place of learning and acceptance since the doors opened that year. I personally have dedicated thousands of volunteer hours to the school in the past 11 years, including chairing the Lighthouse Parent Organization, teaching the middle school cooking elective, and now serving on the school board. I have done so because I believe in this school. I believe in its mission, its staff, and its leadership. I have seen the dedication of these professionals on a daily basis and their commitment to students and families. From our custodians who volunteer and run after-school clubs for our students, our teachers who spend countless hours in preparation for extraordinary lesson plans, our director who wears so many hats, she needs 8 more heads to accommodate them, and our business services manager who works nights and weekends to ensure that the culture and mission of our school is met. My youngest son is now in the 8th grade at the Lighthouse School and will be promoted to high school at the end of this school year. But I will continue to be a dedicated volunteer at the Lighthouse School because I believe so strongly in the value of this school to our community. He will thrive in his new school because he has been taught not only the educational lessons, he has been given life lessons on compassion, kindness, community, and responsibility. I want to praise the Coos Bay School District for realizing that all children do not fit into one educational box and for offering these alternative programs for those students and families. Thank you for partnering with the Lighthouse School to the benefit of my family and countless others. I hope that it will be a partnership for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's it for our public input. Is that correct, David?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Two quick comments. One, I'd be remiss with seeing Jamie out in the audience. And I'll say, we wouldn't have the Millicoma March if it weren't for Jamie Faraday. And it wouldn't have been fixed up if it wasn't for Jerry Fagnity, getting the loan grants and all the other kind of stuff that's done. And having gone out there a number of times just to wander around, it is an amazing park. I appreciate the city being a part of that. And I want to make sure I thank Jamie since he's here in the audience. So thank you, Jamie. And on another note, a number of the people who started the Lighthouse School were old students of mine. And it was really fun to watch them take an idea and a plan and implement it. I would always hope they would make it back to Marshville or to Coos Bay. They were in North Bend, it went well, but I'm pleased to see them personally out of that school. When schools sit vacant, they fall apart, and it gets to be a hazard. So it's nice to have somebody there that wants to take care of it. The whole neighborhood out there. So, really thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have our business office update. Marina, please.
Hi. So you'll notice a couple new items in this month's packet. The first being the KMHS radio station. So we've really identified since I've been here, we've kind of been working on getting those meetings a little more regular as the board does manage that. But moving forward, I will be presenting quarterly financial statements to this group as well as to the separate KMHS subgroup. We will most likely work to move this as a separate fund rather than a student body account within the Marshfield High School student body. That's how it has been created since the radio station began, but it's a little hard to dig out those specific transactions. So as of July 1, we started at $24,380. We do have some expenditures and encumbrances. We have had very little student workers. Most of them have been volunteer time because they enjoy working in that environment. And then just the normal telephone equipment, supplies, those things. We do have some upcoming large replacement of equipment, which the superintendent and that smaller board group have discussed. And we're going to move forward while we do have a pretty significant decline to the fund balance. We in the last year have not brought in hardly any of our ad revenue as we had been in the past 20 to 25 years. We believe part of that is because we had the teacher also running the radio station, and that's really hard to do, to teach all this class as well and also go out and advertise and get sponsorships. And so this year we're working really hard to hire a radio station manager where that is their duty and they are not also teaching classes where they'd be working on commission like we've had in the past. And so I believe a contract is out and we're hoping to have that signed and have somebody join on board starting in November. So good news for the radio station. I'm hoping that we will meet, if not quarterly, maybe every other month for the KMHS radio once we have a manager on board and some more up. Yeah, I'm hoping this will turn very quickly. I imagine it will. Yep, perfect.
And is it the same person we thought is coming up from California?
Yes.
Yeah.
That person posted on his Facebook page he was moving here. Why he was moving here, so
He actually knows the committee really well. He's been here a long time. As a student back there, I think he knows the committee well enough to get out and make the commission. So I'm pretty excited about it. I appreciate you getting a hold of those of us who are on the committee. And I think a 2-year contract is appropriate. Somebody that really in the town, they should know that they have it for a while. So I really appreciate what's happening. And I think this is where it should have always have been, the district putting us up. So I look forward to putting it.
Yeah, as do I. And my hope is that that person will also maybe come to these board meetings quarterly and present along financials.
Can you point him in my direction? I think there's a few positions who might want to advertise on KMHS. Generate some positive revenue.
That would be wonderful. We'll send them your way first. Perfect. So that is KMHS, the first item. And then I believe I can't click into any of the agenda items. It signs me out and I have to go to the authenticator. Yep, perfect. So this is just our normal monthly board reports that you'll see. If you want to share that, David.
Yep.
So these are maybe not as pretty as they normally are. I'm still working to create the budget in the system. So these are by hand with what we've expensed and encumbered year to date for the first quarter. With our OSBA contract being renewed so late in the year, it has really thrown off all of my projections because they're built on historical trends. And so by doing such a significant retro pay in September, it's really thrown off those projections. And so I am working starting next week with the Forecast 5 software and a wonderful person named Lindsay, who actually used to work for ODE and switched to this company. And we're going to go through and actually build out our new projections, excluding this September, because it's really things askew. But this includes all of our encumbrances and expenditures here to date, as well as our unaudited ending fund balance for June 30th from last year. We were pretty close on all of our expected budgets. That's mostly in part due to the software. They do a really good forecast for me when I'm coming budget time, and we got within a couple $100,000 of that beginning fund balance. I'm not going to go through fund by fund for this first set because the projections are really challenging. So I'm just anticipating we're going to spend our full budget for this. Next is the check register that I said I'd be presenting to you guys monthly. It's a lot shorter than last month because it's only 1 month. But you will see on the first page, there is a cash check. There's a cash written or a check written out to cash. We do not do this very often, and so I want to bring it to everyone's attention. With the change in our special education department, a lot of the field trips and activities that were happening in our prior life skills classrooms still are very valuable and are now going to be done through us with our ISC program. But what that means is that we send kids out to the community with funding. And so we need to create a cash box for special education. It's in a lock box with our ISC coordinator. We have a reconciliation page that gets turned into me with any deposit. It's following all proper internal controls, but I don't like to write a cash check and then be the one to cash it. And so I want to be really transparent that we did do that. It was for $200. That amount might adjust as we see how many field trips happen. This is a new process for them as well as for us. And so if you see more cash checks, please ask. I'll try and bring them to everyone's attention. Other than that, there were no out of the normal expenditures. Did anyone have any questions on any of them? Wonderful. Next, we'll move on to the estimated ending fund balance. So on Friday, I got done kind of cleaning up the rest of my audit for last year and getting it all to our auditors. And so I just wanted to provide you all with an estimated ending fund balance from last fiscal year, and then where we projected to be for the beginning of the budget year. And so this variance is how far we were off from beginning fund balance budget in each fund. We were right on track, except for the special revenue fund. You'll see I budgeted much lower than it actually was. The Coos Bay Community Schools Foundation throws me off every single time. And so that is why we're significantly more above. They had a lot more in the bank than we had anticipated. That's great news, but that is why the 1.6 million. None of our other grants had ending fund balances in this fund. And then lastly on the agenda is the enrollments. And I am sorry that there is not a total under the 10/1/2025 column. I did not feel comfortable leaving it there as, can you zoom in, David? Sorry, my eyeballs are terrible. Oh, yeah, thanks. Well, I just wanted to see what they were looking at. I haven't printed. Perfect. So yeah, I did remove that total. So that is because when students are enrolled at an MHS or destinations, but they are also taking online courses, they're then being double counted in the Synergy software at Marshfield and at online. And so you'll see that our online went from 30 last month to 141. We didn't get 111 more kids. They're just being counted from other systems. Now, there are some kids that are fully online, or some that are taking one class online and the rest of their days spent at Marshfield. And so I'm going to spend the rest of the month really getting into the weeds of a formula that I can come up with that will do that a little more quickly, so we have an accurate breakdown of how many kids we have that are doing some at different programs. So that's why, other than that, there's not a significant change in any of our schools at the beginning of the year. Yeah.
So that's so helpful to understand. So, but like, where it says that, for instance, you know, a MD went from 254 to 261. That's actual. That's
Those are
actual
actual.
students.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that,
So it's only those 3 asterisks where
Yeah.
you might have a double count. Okay.
yeah, typically we don't have very many K6, maybe even K8 that are taking online and at their regular classroom. And so I was less concerned about the double enrollment of those numbers. So those, yeah, the Eastside, Madison, Millcoma, and Sunset, those are what we have in the classrooms.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
The color coding that all the average sizes are red, is that just the color it is, or does that?
It's just the color it was built with. And I'm not quite brave enough to change it.
No, that's okay. I want to make sure that we weren't, because those class sizes seem normal to me. I
Yes.
want to make sure we weren't like highlighting that we're over class
No,
size.
not
or
at
something
all.
by making it red.
It's been this formula since, and this like design, from what I can see, like 10 years.
Okay.
And so one day maybe I'll get brave enough, but no, they're right on course. The only class that we actually have, it's Millcoma at 6th grade, which is our bubble class. The average size is 28.2. In the CBEA contract, they have a recommended class size of 26. And so that's the only one that's actually over that recommended class size. But no, red is misleading. Yeah.
It just sets them off.
It also sets me off. I'm learning to live with it. Does anyone have any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Addie.
On the check register that you provided, I noticed there were a number of checks made out to individuals.
Yes.
Looked like they were primarily administrators, building administrators. Are those just reimbursement of expenses or something?
Yes, they're actually mostly travel reimbursements or travel expenditures, because we have so many conferences that happen in October. Like the SPED conference is happening this week. And so we write those checks to administrators to pay for the hotel if they're attending, or the mileage, those sorts of things.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions?
Just the attendance numbers. The second September, when Marina pulled these first numbers, we haven't had a chance for students to get into the classrooms yet. Some of these are students that were registered from last year, but they ended up not showing up or going to their schools. So that's why you look at a building like Sunset, where it says they're down 16 kids in a month. Well, many of those students, we got records requests and they moved over the summer. They just had taken out of the system by our September meeting.
Yeah, it's very like day to day could be so different based on what Synergy is doing that day or what registration looks like that day. So September is always pretty misleading. I take the October numbers to be pretty accurate for what we'll see through February. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
We'll move right along to item F of the agenda, reviewing the new tentative version of board goal number 4. Dr. Rosengarten, do you have that?
Yes.
And then is your version the one when we click on the link and scroll down on number 4? Is that the version that you were?
Should be in red.
Yes, it
Yeah,
says
okay.
that number 4.
Here.
Would you like me to read
Yeah,
it?
if you want to share that. And we can
Sure.
kinda- Thank you.
I took the intent of the one that we had come up with, I don't know, a month ago or so, and reworked it, thinking about the things that we had talked about. And so what I wrote was maintain a focus on district priorities and an understanding of current realities. With this focus in mind, support the superintendent in active strategic planning for achieving target goals and priorities through processes aligned with best practice.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good for your work on that.
Yeah, thank you. Have any discussion or comments or?
Do we have that, in a motion at the end of the, or should we motion now?
You can motion.
I would like to move that we accept the new board goal as written by Dr. Mady Rosengarten. Number 4, as you just read.
I'll second that. And as I see this goal for us, it is a active goal. Our job is to support our superintendent, and we need to understand what the goals are and then figure out how we as a board can support him in moving us forward. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take a vote then, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Yeah, and then was she voting online or?
You may ask her for Addie's vote.
Yeah, I didn't know if she was.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you, Addie.
All right. Pass, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, proceed. Should be. Right, go on item G for the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to try to double off of my notes on this screen and the presentation of the big screen. So this could get quite interesting. First of all, just want to, Kim, I haven't had a chance to present this with you, talking about this. Keep in mind that slides are very long tonight. There's like 60 of them, but we're not going to be going over every slide tonight. And I'm going to ask you guys to do a little bit of homework. And I'm just going to basically talk about historical data after I do a little presentation on Division 22. First of all, just a reminder of superintendent goals, raising the academic expectations and outcomes for the district that align with state accountability metrics. 3rd grade reading, 8th grade math, 9th grade on track, 4-year graduation, 5-year completers. Key to attendance, and that's still yet to be determined local metric that ODE talks about. Develop a long-term plan for the future of alternative education in Coos Bay schools, and prioritize destinations, pre-kindergarten, teen parent program, resource link charter school, CBD online, and potential child care program. Report progress on the goals to the board monthly. Investigate and establish the need for additional programs in the district, including CTE, co-curriculars, and after-school opportunities, and administer at least 2 communities and student surveys focusing on climate and student voice. Results will be analyzed and shared with constituents, and findings will be used to inform district decision-making and guide improvements. One of those surveys is currently on the website and will be open for a couple more weeks to the community, and I will be presenting that information in November. David and Student Success Committee are working on the student survey. So I'm going to talk Division 22 standards. Division 22 is a state mandated requirement for all school districts to be considered standard school districts. All rules adopted by the State Board of Education go into Chapter 581. Division 22, there are 26 total divisions, but Division 22 is within there. When the rules are assigned Division 22, they become part of Oregon's standards for elementary and secondary schools. The educational standards that either the Oregon legislature, or the state board has determined must be met in order to be considered a standard school district. Compliance with Division 22 standards ensures every student in Oregon's public schools is provided with a baseline level of service that meets the standards set up by the state. These standards are not only requirements that the districts must adhere to, but are also monitored, and compliance is tied to state school funding metrics. The Division 22 standards include over 50 individual rules, which are organized into 5 categories. The 5 categories you see right there: high quality learning experiences, aligned and focused educational systems, engaged partners and communities, safe and inclusive schools, and committed and supported staff. Here are a few specific examples that fall into each of these categories for 24-25. So you see high quality learning, diploma requirements, instructional materials adoption. Over on the top right, aligned and focused educational systems, required instructional time, comprehensive school counseling, complaint procedures. Sorry, it's all right. Complaint procedures and educational equity advisory committees fall in engaged partners and communities. Safe and inclusive schools include substance abuse prevention and intervention plans, and every student belongs. And then committed and supported staff, teacher and administrator evaluations, and support. Oh, you took me off the yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on, trainer.
Kind of quick question. I know we're trying to bust through this. Is it okay if I ask a question about this
Sure.
particularly? Every student belongs and substance use prevention and intervention plan are those curriculums? Or-
There are standards within, they are substandards within the standards, and I'll
Right.
talk a little bit about a couple of them.
Okay, you're going to talk about those specifically.
I will
Or
talk
how
specifically
we're-
about the substance abuse and prevention for sure.
I just wanted to know if this is like every student belongs with an ideology.
It's a substandard within the standard.
Right.
It's kind of like the student
Right.
equity advisory and things like that. We have different programs that cover within every student belongs. Oh, do I have to click me through? Yeah, let's go. To learn more about specific requirements for certain rules, these are good resources to start. So you have the OD's rules at a glance summary. You have Secretary of State's Oregon Administrative Rules Database, and then you have the OD's Division 22 Standards newsletters. These are links that you can click on that are in the presentation. Ooh, it might be working now. I think it worked. Oh, you did.
Let's click it.
I think it is. So why Division 22 Standards and Assurances of Compliance, the why, signals our commitment to providing high quality educational experiences and equitable opportunities for all students. Division 22 standards articulate the floor of the education to be provided for students, not the ceiling. And assurances process offers an opportunity for districts not in compliance to reflect on areas in need of attention and receive technical assistance. We're in compliance with all areas of Division 22 for 23 or for 24-25. What would happen if we were out of compliance, which again, we are not? ODE reviews the district's proposed corrective action plan and either approves or rejects it. If the plan is not approved as submitted, ODE contacts the district and provides technical assistance and support. Once the district has approved plan in place, ODE specialists may continue to provide support as needed. The corrective action must be complete by the beginning of the next school year. And if a district fails to come back within compliance after an opportunity to corrective action, ODE may withhold a portion of the district's state school fund budgets. Our report. So a couple of additional items for the Division 22 waivers for 24-25. The essential assessment of essential skills is still continuing to be waived until 2027, 2028. And the essential skills assessment for English language learners continues to be waived until 2027, 2028. Rules that are into effect this year include Planned K-12 instruction program for social emotional learning. We have that. Character Strong is an adopted K-12 social emotional curriculum within our district. And a planned 9-12 program, which includes personal financial education and higher education and career pathways content. We have that plan ready to go for when it becomes a state law in 2025-26. State mandate, I shouldn't say law, state mandate in 2025-26. Rule revisions that are in effect: modified diploma, extended diploma, and certificates of attendance. Districts must provide annually parents information about those diploma options. We do that within the IEP meetings for our families. And a substance abuse prevention and intervention plan. We have those within our Safer Smarter Kids at the elementary level and our Red Ribbon Week. We also have those in our adopted health curriculums at the 7-12 level. We have added if you can't see it right at the bottom, but the opioid prevention education lessons have been added at the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade health curriculums. 6th grade, they're going to do it within the PE classes. And then at the high school level, once in high school, students will have the ODE mandated opioid prevention educational plans. It's a canned curriculum provided by OD. Yes, Kim.
The modified diploma, extended diploma, and certificate of attendance, we're notifying parents at IEPs. Is it just specifically special education that needs these?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Our community report is right here. If you click on this, you can go in and see where we are at within all 22, or excuse me, within all of the Division 22 community requirements. This will also be posted on our website here very soon. The report is due to ODE in early November. Instructional hours are a big part of Division 22. The requirements are 966 hours for the seniors, 990 for grades 9 through 11, and 900 for our K-8. We are well over in our K-8 instructional hours, and I'm very happy to report this year our instructional hours at the 9th through 11th grade went from 991 last year, just a whisker, over to 1,027 this year. So we have added several instructional hours at the high school level. Yes.
I know this is specifically Division 22, and I'm not sure what else, where else you want to use this particular PowerPoint information, but it might be nice for families, parents to know that pre-K also meets that 900 hours as part of the grant money that they receive.
Preschool Promise.
Yeah, and so I think that's something to be proud of.
Yes.
Again, I don't want to, if this is just Division 22, I don't want to confuse anybody because I know pre-K is not part of that, but
it's still important to
I
advertise to
think
our families that
our families should know that our pre-K children are getting.
absolutely. Just an overview of Division 22. June to August, you gather and review evidence of compliance. September 1 is the deadline to request an extension. Thursday, Friday afternoons in the fall, the Division 22 Standards Help Desk is available if needed. September, October, present the insurances report to the local school board in a public meeting. That's what we're doing tonight. By November 1, post the community report on the district website. And by the 15th, the report is due to in their smart sheet, which we are having prepared. Some areas of growth within our Division 22 that I think we need to look at. Aligning our state assessment standards, district report card standards, and our adopted curriculum to maximize PLCs. We've talked about that within the superintendent report I gave early September. Last year we talked about implementing data-driven practices. I added this year we need to continue to use those data-driven practices in district data systems to improve student outcomes. We need to continue to develop ways of maximizing the outcomes using those systems. Evaluation systems of administrators and certified staff within the district. Our evaluation committee is working on that. And then updating systems within our comprehensive school counseling plan. The last comprehensive school counseling plan was developed over a decade ago. And Mr. Montiel and the counseling team have taken on updating that plan. We are in compliance, but we're updating the aspects within that plan His team attended a school counseling conference just last week. Came back with several ideas to work on upgrading our comprehensive school counseling plan. Any questions before I go into data on Division 22? Those are real quick.
I have a question.
Yes.
When they talk about comprehensive school counseling plan, are we talking academic counseling or are we talking
Talking kind of the whole gamut, but a lot of it is,
All of it?
A lot of it is social emotional counseling.
social? emotional?
Yeah, we're talking about the whole, under the whole umbrella of school counseling.
Okay.
Dr. Nogowski?
So, just for my personal education, both hospitals or a medical practice will have one electronic health record where all patient data is stored. When we're talking about our school district, how many different places does the school district store patient data? How many different systems are we using all at once?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Like, cause, so for example, I mean, because one of the things that we see a lot in healthcare is sort of fragmentation, right? So, where one hospital has one health system and we have another, and so that we can't talk to each other. Across our grade levels, across our schools, do we have a single system or do we have multiple?
Well, our main system is Synergy. That's what houses our main student data when it comes to records, enrollment, special education documentation, 504, medical, things like that. We also have hard copy student cumulative files.
So Synergy is really the hub for almost everything.
Synergy is the hub for most everything. I'm going to say it does have report card data in it, but it does not have things like progress monitor data and some of our lower elementary diagnostic results and things like that. We have other systems that store those, but Synergy is our main hub for attendance and all other documents. It's kind of the main person.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so moving on to data. And as I talked about, I want to keep this really quick tonight because this is, we're at slide 18 and again at 62. So I'm just going to talk. The plan is I am going to talk about these data areas and not specific data. And my goal is between now and October 27th to have you review these data slides, write down any questions you have on the historical data. And then on October 27th, the building administrators are going to give their current data of where they're at. With their beginning of the year assessments, passing rates, things like that, attendance. And then they're going to talk about their school goals, and then you can ask them questions based on the historical data. So I'm hoping by front loading some of these items tonight, the meeting on the 27th will stay at a reasonable time frame and not turn into a really, really long night for everybody. So talking attendance here. So here is a statistic of our regular attenders. Can't see at the bottom, but it's broke down by each building. I could not get Little Pirates in there, but their regular attenders for 24-25 was 70%. It would not let me add one more column when I went to go do it this morning, but I do have that information. Okay. Yes, here is Little Pirates data based on the TS Gold assessments that they use, Teaching Strategies Gold, for you to take a look at. It actually has 6 components. They only do an assessment on 4, and they leave out the math and literacy. Just aiming towards getting kids school ready in terms of those 4 areas. K6 reading and math data. So this is our DIBELS reading diagnostic components, and I put in there at each grade level what they're being assessed on, so you can look at that and how the forms of the measures are. And then here is our Madison data from 22-23 till the end, beginning of the year 22-23 to the end of the year 24-25. Keep in mind, this is all of our DIBELS data. 22-23 at the beginning of the year was the first year we used DIBELS to sample. Here's our East Side results. Again, clicking through them. Sunset, Millicombe. Going on to the Savas Math Diagnostic. These are what each area is assessing for each grade level. So as you're looking at these, you can see what is being assessed at each grade level. And here is our East Side Savas. Now, last year was our first year with Savas, so we have one beginning and one end of the year. So Madison, Millicoma. Millicoma, the way Savas works at the the way Savas works is it's K-5, and then sixth grade, it moves into the like middle school version of Savas, junior high version. And so that's why there's different assessments. So I have the 3rd through 5th grade beginning of the year, 6th grade, 3rd through 5th, and 6th grade. Sunset, junior high for both the 7th and 8th graders. Okay, going on to OSAS data. I have OSAS data for you to review for all of our buildings that take a state assessment. So Sunset Math, and I have the last 3 years historically. Millicoma Math, Sunset ELA, these are by grade level. Down at the bottom, I should tell you the state averages that are for 22-23 down there at the very bottom left, those go in order of grade level. So state average for 3rd grade was 40%, state average for 4th grade was 43%, 5th grade 48%, 6th grade 42%. Okay. Millicoma, Marshfield Junior High Math, Marshfield Junior High ELA, Marshfield Junior High Science, high school 11th grade ELA, 11th grade Math, and Science. And then I have destinations. So there's assessment data for each building historically over the last 3 years. Yes, Dr. Rogowski.
So just, none of these go up to 100%. What is the, and is it?
Those are students that are proficient in those areas, in those
So
tests.
we're saying, we're talking somewhere between 20 and 40% proficient, meaning
At grade level, the state deems them at
So
grade
more
level
than
at
half of people are
benchmark.
not at grade level.
Correct. For destinations for science, for destinations in the high school, the second, one of the bar lines is, I can't see the colors right now, but I'm assuming that blue bar line is the state average and the orange is destinations. Correct. I was able to put those averages into it. I tried to kind of put 3 through 5 in, and there was a whole bunch of lines going a whole bunch of different directions, and so I kind of changed that. 7-12 data, we've got passing rates for the junior high and failing rates. We have passing rates by core subject at the junior high last year at the end of the year. We have junior high pre-ACT and science scores. On the right, we were attempting to find the state averages for these scores to see where we're at. Things are real difficult right now because everybody's getting ready for day of testing tomorrow. So we will get those state averages for you when Kyle and Eli and Kayla present their data on the 27th. We'll have those. Our ACT rep obviously very busy with day of testing, getting ready for tomorrow. Marshfield High School passing rate overall by core subject, pre-ACT math and science. We also have Marshfield pre-ACT for reading and English. Destination Academy, we're giving you credits there. Destination, looking at passing rate, isn't as valuable data as looking at the amount of credits that students are earning there. So we have credits earned, and Kayla will talk more about that on the 27th. And then we have their pre-ACT items. And then upcoming, talked about day of testing tomorrow. We've got pre-ACT, we have ACT, we have ACT at the 11th and 12th grade. We also have the Work Keys, which is a new ACT test for us. And Work Keys is a assessment that is used by several trade organizations, including the Electrical Union. So it's a really good assessment for students that are looking to go into the trades. And then the ASVAB is one for students that are looking to go into, mostly go into military service. At the board meeting on the 27th, you're going to get pre-K-12 admin. The admin will present their beginning of the year data. On the 10th, I am going to, Kevin, we've talked about this. I'm going to present our OSAS data in comparison to schools that are school districts that are similar size to us in our local districts. I'm going to present that on the 10th, along with talk about the 7-12 co-curricular surveys that are out right now in the buildings to get data on how many students are doing co-curriculars. And then I'm also going to talk about our Coos Bay Family and Community Survey. And then at the board meeting on 12/8, we're going to talk about first quarter data for Marshfield High School and some progress monitor data at the K 6th level. Try to go through it quick, but also try to explain that historical data. So again, if you can look at those data slides between now and the 27th, I think we're gonna have a really good, positive, productive data night with our building admin. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it possible, and you may have tried this and it didn't work, is it possible to get the Dibbles and the Sabbaths in line graphs that go to the right with, that show all the 3rd grades, all the 4th grades, 5th grades?
Yes.
Right now they're by school.
Yeah, I can get you that historical data for the 27th.
It'd be really cool to see those two things. I don't know how you're gonna do it, but.
No, it's easy. Dibbles is really user friendly.
Okay. To see all the 3rd grades, all the 4th grades, all the 5th grades. And I'm not sure if it'll be for Sabbath because it's.
Sabbath is pretty easy too.
Okay.
I can get the end of the year.
Can the destinations all be all the same subjects on one graph?
I can talk with Kayla about that.
Okay.
And did you have any questions? Mr. Kirk?
No.
Arnie?
No, okay.
Kim?
So the way that we're presenting maybe it's typical, but the OSAS graphs they make far less sense to me than the Dibbles graphs.
The OSAS isn't as easy to go in and make graphs of as Dibbles is. Dibbles, I mean, I can go in and look at the Dibbles and the Sabbath, and it looks just like this.
Yeah.
And it's easy to just go in and create an Excel sheet. I could took some screenshots too.
Okay.
And where the OSAS gives it in an Excel and you're trying to kind of make a graph out of it.
I see.
I think also if we looked at OSAS historically over the last 10 years might help in a graph form too, perhaps. They didn't have the assessment, the OSAS assessment in 2021 and then 21, 22. It was really heavily tweaked so that it
Doesn't
really provide, due to COVID, provide a real solid
All
assessment.
those percentages are so weird. It's so, like you were saying earlier. I mean,
and the percentages are not consistent.
They're not
from
consistent.
next graph,
Right.
from graph to graph.
So
So
I was gonna ask for subjects all in one graph, but I don't think you can do it with the way the percentages are.
It would be difficult. I could go in and rework the percentages though, and that are in the axis columns if that helps.
No, I just didn't know if there was a way to present it similar to the Dibbles, because the Dibbles one makes in much more intuitive sense. You have these students that exceed, you have the student that meets, you have students that are approaching, and you have does not meet. I'm sure that same arrangement is from the OSAS data, but it's just maybe it's not presentable that way.
I can look, yeah, there is some bar charts that are in the OSAS data that I can look at and try to get you in different form.
Okay.
That might make it a little cleaner. They use level 1, 2, 3, and 4 to demonstrate, levels 1 and 2 are below benchmark, below proficient. 3 is proficient, 4 exceeds. So I can give you some additional charts that could clean it up a little bit.
And you're gonna get the state averages too for those.
For pre-ACTs or for
For
OSAS?
OSAS.
OSAS is in there. It's just
Is
at
it?
the bottom.
Oh, it
It's
is.
just
Okay, sorry.
No, and I don't mean to, create a whole bunch of more work for anyone or anything. It would, in order to absorb this much information quickly, I think it would have to be a more intuitive format, because there's no way to look at those bar graphs and say, or no way to look at those line graphs and say, this is an obvious outlier. They all look kind of the same. And so if there was a different way to view it, I think it'd be helpful.
Sure, absolutely.
Norm, do you have any questions on this? Okay, thank you. Well, Addie's online, right? Addie, do you have any questions?
Nope, this has been very interesting. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you for presenting. Up next, we have the H integrated plan presentation from Chad. You ready, Chad?
Yeah.
You?
Good evening. Are you able to use the actual PowerPoint as opposed to the PDF? Sorry, I didn't ask you again earlier. You just searched it 2024 25 integrated programs. There's a few updates in there that might be worthwhile.
And you sent it to my CVK as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just give me 1 second. I'll get it fired up and I can give you this clicker. It may or may not work for you.
It's pretty straightforward too. It gets stuck with it. Okay, got it. Will it just stay this size?
Let me try to do it big. Last time I kicked Gary out of the clicker, but we'll find. We can give it another shot.
I'll try it right now and see what it does.
Oh,
There you go.
There's
Just
just
Gary.
Be a little
Yeah.
bit
Just me.
easier to read. So the integrated plan is, we have two big groups of grants. We have our federal grants that are administered by ODE, so it flows through to ODE and they fix this. And those are any of those that are named Title I, Title II, Title V. Those are some of the Title IV. Those are some of the grants that we receive. And then there's all the state grants. And the integrated programs was ODE's attempt to take all of the state grants and package them up in a way that the rules for writing the grants, following the rules, reporting multiple times during the year to ODE, conducting the budget, reporting to you, all the rules flowed, so we weren't having a lot of these meetings. So they combined at times, which is the early literacy grant, the high school success grant, SIA grant, and now what will be soon is they'll add grants to this as a comprehensive grant, literacy grant that we've just received. And so following that, there's rules, and one of this is our presentations. And we had our first presentation at for the integrated plan, where I presented the 25-27 biennium, and you voted on that a few months back. And what this is, and the order sometimes it seems odd, but they have to give us time after the fact to report. So this is, the biennium ended last year, and this is the Q3 and Q4 report for 23-25. It says 24-25, but it's for the whole biennium. So that's what you're seeing here. And these are some of the rules here, and it just talks about what I said, that I'm supposed to report to you annually, multiple times. And we take the approach of, I'll do this type of report for you twice a year, but all of these data reports that you're seeing that are ongoing, including the information that Superintendent Roberts presented to you, are part of this information that we're going to give multiple times throughout the year. So it ends up being somewhat workshop style, because you'll get to digest the data and then ask questions over time. It's just not a one-time giving the information to you and moving on. Some of the data in there would be student data, what we're using the grant for, and then the budget reporting also, depending on the time that we're discussing the information. And this is some of the measures that we report on, and you'll see these in a better format in just a little bit. And each one of these groups has a few different rules, and they're combined in there. So SIA, you can see what SIA requires us to do here: report on an annual basis, financial and performance, report it to you, post it on the district website. And then the LPGT's long-term performance goals and local performance measures. These are all the data that Superintendent Roberts was presenting to you, and you'll see some more of that from me here coming up.
Hey, Chad?
Yeah.
Before you move, could you just, because some of us are kind of new, could you tell us what the acronyms stand for, please?
Yeah, the LPGTs, that's the long-term performance goals or local measures. So they're performance standards that we've set for ourselves in conjunction with consulting with ODE. And I have a list of those for you in just a little bit.
Thank you. Did you say COS for the
folks that,
Student investment account. That's the name of one of those grants that's integrated into the integrated plan. And in this one, why I moved to this one instead of the one that you would have as a PDF is I tried my best to every single one of the acronyms spell it out there for you as a reference. So one of the areas that I report on to you is third grade ELA performance. And then work that we do at the 7th to 12th level. And these are high points for us. This narrative number one is high points, and we're seeing gains in our third grade ELA scores over time. And that is part of our move towards the science of reading. That's the SOR acronym, and please ask if I miss giving one of those to you. And some of the work that we did there in moving towards the science of reading was we are adopting core materials that align, intervention materials that align, assessment materials that align, developing our intervention system, our MTSS system that aligns. All of our PD aligns. So we're making sure that all of our resources are aiming in one spot, specifically on the science of reading and using that to improve our reading at all levels. Third grade is that make or break year that we've talked about publicly for a lot of years. And so that was why that was adopted by ODE. And that's one of the areas that we focus on learning. In terms of PD, we joined the Oregon Response to Intervention Cadre 12, which is funded by an ODE grant to learn about all of this work. And we're in year 3 of that grant, and we meet with them several times throughout the year, and then we also have our in-house meetings monthly. Other PD that's going on that's centered on the science of reading is our Lexia Letters training. And Letters is language essentials for teaching of reading and spelling. And then also our core curriculum, most of these materials, the core materials, the intervention materials, the assessment, that's all through the vendor Amplify. And we spent quite a bit of time making sure that when we adopted all these materials, that all of our staff were highly trained. So we put in quite a few hours. I would say somewhere, depending on the person's role, 20-ish hours of PD to make sure that they're up to speed and can use these materials successfully. And that PD was spread out over a 2-year chunk of time so far. So if you missed, you weren't feeling good, whatever it was, there was multiple attempts to for you to catch up and learn what we were doing. It wasn't just a sit down one super long training. In fact, there was some long all day trainings, but there's also multiple 1-hour trainings in there also. We also focused on making sure that all of our staff were trained. EAs, teachers, all of our specialists, anybody else that we could pull in, we would train and give them a brief rundown. As an example, this last Friday, even though of some of these materials, most of these materials that I'm talking about here are K-6 materials. We spent time with the special ed staff last Friday, giving them a briefing on what we're doing here so they understand and we're all talking the same language. At the 7 to 12 level, we've increased the advanced coursework options by a lot, especially this year with the increased offerings of advanced placement, the AP courses. We continue to have a lot of 2+2 classes where they're getting credit, the high school credit, and they're getting SWAT credit. And we've also increased greatly the number of online classes that students can take. We've also increased, and you heard about some of this earlier, college readiness level assessment opportunities, increased AP testing, ACT testing, SAT testing, and ASVAB testing. One of the things that we've done there is made sure that all students are promoted. We promoted that all students should take these tests. We make it accessible to all students by we pay the bill. Some of the, in the past, we expected students to pay the expense for some of these, and we don't do that anymore. We really want everyone to test. We want to pull down the barriers. We don't want a student to make, well, I don't know if I'm going to pass, so I don't want to spend the money. We're going to put the effort in, get the students up to speed, and provide the test to them. We're also we've been in discussions about helping the students make wise choices. If you're not ready for that test, maybe it's this other test, but trying to do it in a way that doesn't say, well, you guys shouldn't take the test. You know, you're not going to pass, but you definitely should because you're going to pass. We're trying to raise everyone up. We're also increasing our online options for students overall, allowing students to take hybrid classes, some online classes, some in-person classes, and we're an avid district for the most part at the 7 to 12 level. And we've been working towards improving our AVID system for a while, which is advancement via individual determination. And AVID has two prongs. It has the prong of the AVID elective, and that's an elective class that students that may not feel prepared to go into college, their family doesn't have a history of going to college or a trade school or straight into a career. I'll add those in there. I'm getting them to see that there is a way to do that. This is how you do it, and helping push them beyond what the capacity of our high school counselors have to do. They can't meet with the students multiple times a week, where in the AVID elective, they meet multiple times a week and they work on these type of things. The other prong of AVID is the school-wide approach, where if you go to Marshfield and you see all the college banners up, that was part of that, getting everybody ready for college, not just that AVID elective. So helping students to see that there is a path that they get to choose, teaching them how to advocate for themselves, and also things like note-taking, just all those school skills that you need to be successful beyond just the high school experience. I can pause anywhere in here if people have questions. Let's do a little bit of pause time there. All right. Another narrative we write right here is some of the things that we struggle with a little bit in the district. And by struggle, I mean, it's hard if you ask me, even though I've been here a long time, or you ask our high school folks exactly what is the lever, what is the mechanism that is making some of these things happen. So district-wide graduation rates over the past 5 years range from 66.5 to 79.5. It's hard for us to tell you right now why year by year it swings that much. And with all this data, the purpose of a lot of this data that we're showing you is for us to try to figure out what is the variable that we can leverage to be more consistent. Because that's a pretty big swing, especially for not any of us to be able to tell you exactly what's causing that swing year by year. Because it usually goes from somewhere in the 60s to close to high 70s year by year. That's a pretty big swing. So we really want to figure out what those factors are. All these inputs that I've just talked about, the things that we're trying to put in place to impact a change, I can't tell you for sure which one is making the biggest difference right there, year by year. And then down at the bottom, we're still struggling with the attendance post-COVID. And some of us has said it's kind of the new reality. We're even seeing that with attendance rates by staff. There is a change there. And we're not where we want to be. And we were talking today about, is there a way in our data to look at and see and tell parents, hey, here's where your student's performing. Here's their attendance. We think that if their attendance was here, it would help. And trying to figure out a way to get that information to parents in a faster cycle, not taking as long to get that information to them. Here's some of our data that is specific to those long-term performance goals. And these are selected by ODE, which these reporting areas, and they're long-standing in our state as reporting areas. And then going back about 6 years, I would meet with ODE and we'd talk about the goal setting. And ODE, for the most part, would tell us your goals are going to have to be somewhere in here. We have a little bit of flexibility. So you can see where our goal is and then what the actual is for this last year. And that's part of that official reporting that I'm supposed to do. And this is district-wide, whole district. And this is a lot of data tonight, including what you saw earlier. So you're gonna need to take a while to look at it and think. And then if you have any questions, again, we'll have multiple times during the year for you to ask. Some of the progress markers, that was another acronym, a PM in there, that we focused on. And there's a big list. And I'll show you where those are at the end so you can see the entire list. This is some high points for us. We have data teams formed at all of our schools. We're doing outstanding at the K-6 level, at the 7 and up. We're getting better. It's a little bit more difficult at the secondary level to figure this out. It's not quite as intuitive when we have multiple individual content areas and subjects. It just doesn't come as natural to the upper grade levels. We're working on it, but we are getting better. We have this set aside time almost every Friday, and this is what we focus on, looking at the data and trying to improve on those days. And our goal is to move away from those being a nuts and bolts meeting to a talking about increasing student performance meeting and learning how to increase student performance. And it's an ongoing struggle because in a district and working each day, you're trying to get things done, and those nuts and bolts have to get done because the students are coming back the next day. But to try to set aside special time to focus on improvement, that's our goal. And then PM4, we've done outstanding job, and I was referencing that earlier, where we're really aligning all of our resources for improvement. It's not this, well, we want to do this or we want to do this one-off. It's all of our training at those lower levels, almost all of the funding, the time that we spent, the substitutes for release time for teachers to work on these projects, it's all geared towards literacy. It's not one-offs, very few one-offs. Same as at the secondary level. The secondary level, there's a little bit more directions we're going just because of the nature of the school and what you have to do. But again, it's really focusing on a few things. Progress Monitor 5, we're trying to increase our attention to communication practices. We really improved quite a bit there with purchase and implementation of ParentSquare. And the messaging going out from schools, the districts, the parents, and the parents' ability to respond back and forth is greatly improved. Our first step was the Remind app, if you remember that, and now ParentSquare is even better. The translation ability of ParentSquare is hopefully making this messaging feel more approachable, and ability for parents to approach the schools with information, because they can set their translation to where all the messages seem as if it's coming in the language that they speak primarily, and then they can respond in that, and we see the message in English. So this link on the PowerPoint, it has the list of the long-term performance goals. And the way that ODE does this, they format it on this ginormous spreadsheet. They call it a smart sheet. And there is no reasonable way to present it on here, because it would need a poster, just a ginormous poster. Even on this board, you have to scroll sideways to see the data. So it's linked for you, Dave, and check to make sure that you can click on it in your PDF. But it's designed for a screen for you to scroll side to side. There's just no reasonable way. Even if I printed it on an 11 by 14, the print type is still too small. So I'll provide you with the link so you can see the exacts, the historical data, and the projections. And then the larger list of progress markers beyond just the P3, 4, and I think it was the 6 or 7 that I had on there. You can see all of those and our most recent rankings. Other questions or thoughts?
For your progress markers, are these the rankings that came back from ODE, how they ranked, or is this how internally, you're ranking them
internally.
internally.
And we report those to ODE, and ODE doesn't do anything specific other than collect their data and then advise us, but we don't have to meet a specific level in a progress marker. They're more ODE's thoughts on and research as to this is what you want to focus on with this funding to improve.
Sure.
All right. Then. I appreciate being able to present this info to you, and
Thank you very much.
we'll end up posting it. This PowerPoint will get posted to the website, so it's available for parents.
Perfect. Thank you.
Chad, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Sorry, guys. So help me understand the 4-year and the 5-year cohort. So if somebody did not graduate in the 4-year cohort, how many of those students do we actually capture into the 5-year, and how many do we actually and just don't return to education?
I don't have that number in my head. Kayla might remember it. No, I can get that for you. I don't have it at the top of my head.
I was just curious how many of those kiddos that we actually hang on to that.
If they finish summer school, because we're trying to also improve our summer schools. Principal Ashton's doing a pretty good job of drawing in the kids and getting their credits. And if they finish by the end of August, they count for the 4-year for the regular graduation.
Yes.
And then the same thing going all the way out to the August of that 5th year. I can get those numbers easily for you. I just don't have them memorized.
Quick question. So
So they're actually in that bigger spreadsheet, that long-term
Oh, in
performance
there?
goal
It's
spreadsheet.
okay.
That's what I have a question about. When I do click on that, you can't read it. You can't read it.
Is it too small?
No, it's not too small. It's out of focus. There's nothing. I thought maybe I was experiencing some kind of head trauma.
Okay,
No, but-
David and I will check on that
It's an
tomorrow and we'll try to make sure. We
Which one
looked
is
at
it?
it and it looked
The
clear to us.
LTPGs.
We saved it as a PDF for them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're saying it's not very clear, so we'll,
Oh, it's not clear at
We
all.
can probably link in Excel.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Maybe an Excel.
David and I will work on that tomorrow. We tried.
I'm sure.
We
you
had
should.
David test it
Yeah.
and David could read it and I was like, okay, it's probably good enough. And then more of a screenshot.
Yeah. It's, I don't know if you see this, even just like
No,
opening
it's
it up in
weird.
a different file format or making it larger, it's just gobbledygook. So
Yeah, we'll rectify that and
Thank
send it
you.
out to you guys.
It's anxious. So it's out of focus. Like an actor.
I had a quick question. I don't know how you turn this into, a narrative for families to understand, but, I'm looking at the narrative, something that would be, and I realize this is probably pulled directly from your grant reporting, which is, I'm not asking you to actually do anything extra. But I think families might be interested and parents might like to know, like, examples of what the TOSAs actually do. It mentions delivered through TOSAs and external partners. We support curriculum implementation, for example. That would be a really nice way to paint a picture of what's actually happening. It all makes sense to me, and from what I know, I can understand.
And I don't think I even explained the TOSA acronym, so how about I explain the TOSA acronym and give a few examples?
That would be great, and I think it would be also great for families to understand.
Yeah.
yes.
Otherwise, everyone just says, okay, sounds great, because it's all.
I can make that change.
So what's technology doing and what are people doing?
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right, up next we have AYA presentation, Scott. And then, there you go. Thank you, David. Should have mentioned that earlier.
Try to put it-
Thank you for sticking around.
Yeah,
You made the cut. Yeah.
I'll make you guys a deal. If you'll stand up and have a conversation with me, I'll bluff it and I'll shut off the presentation. You always have to do a slide deck. Okay, I'm serious. I'm way better at the conversation than a slide deck. You've been through too many of these already. Mission statement, provide holistic approach to needy youth by connecting them to education, career services, social sports, and housing. That's our mission statement. We changed it recently. We had to go outside of K through 12 industry and look at what are we doing to prepare youth to be adults. So we're outside the box. First of all, anyone here ever not hear of AY? Good. All right. Let me roll with this a little bit easier. I have a great board of directors. We'll show them to you in a minute. And they told me that whatever we get involved in, it has to work for the community. And ask myself 3 questions before we do it. Do we need to advocate for it to make it work in the community? Do we need to collaborate to make it work in the community? Or does AYA need to own it itself? We collaborate with tons of people. Coos Bay School District has been on our list for many years. I actually worked for Coos Bay School District. And it's changed throughout time. I mean, Dr. Crook back there is now doing a lot of 11th and 12th graders and getting them over the finish line. I am starting to look more at GED. For a long time, we were a credit recovery school. One of the reasons I'm here is because most of the people in this room probably still see us as a credit recovery school. I want to expand on that a little bit further to show you what AYA has been doing. Kim told me once, smart lady that she is, not to self-deprivate myself, to not call myself a schmuck. But the reality is we are really, really small. We constitute maybe 1-2% of the Coos Bay population. But I think we do some pretty big things in the community. All right, so we'll keep moving. Or maybe not.
There you go.
Founded in 1979, serving the Southern Coast for many years, offering high schools, diplomas, GED, work readiness, housing, and more. GED has been a big focus on our educational side of things. We are nationally accredited through Cognia. Just went through that one last week. It's always a blast. And we do that for approximately 15 kids. So I don't know if anybody here has been through Cognia, but the only reason we do it is because other school districts don't have to take our credits. And we know that will hurt the kids. So we spend a lot of money, jump through a lot of hoops, but it's good for our staff to have to go through that and understand that. Work readiness, oh, I got some figures. We go all the way down to the Southern Coast. We got a place in Gold Beach, and we do some stuff in Brookings as well. Really proud of my board. I think the average person's been on my board over 10 years. Chris Chapinar, Alice Carlson, prior superintendent, School, talked about that one earlier. Board chair, Sowib has been on our board. I just have a great board there. My brain trust, like you guys, they help direct on what we're going to do. Last year, about 200 kids in education between diplomas and GED. The question about what do we do when kids become super seniors, we will educate kids all the way up to 24. We will not get paid for them, but we are foolish enough to continue to educate them. We can give them diplomas. We have our own, we can accredit our own diplomas and do GEDs. So when they age out of school, we continue to work with them all the way up to age 24. Right now, actually that number is off. I asked right before I left here. We are housing approximately 196 homeless youth and families through an emergency shelter, transitional shelter, subsidized housing, and over 60% of them are your students and families. Most of them actually go to your typical school, from the school back on those walls, because we deal with a lot of smaller kids as well. Start looking at families. And we are presently purchasing the Bologna shelter, which will be turned in specifically for pregnant youth and young families, despite what it might say on what's happening in Coos County. Last year, we handed out 32 tons of food, mostly to the families that we're dealing with. And we did over 100 various community trainings. In fact, we have one for your school district Friday, a poverty simulation. Come join us. It's going to be in this building. We did one last Friday for multiple nonprofits over at the Douglas Fairgrounds. And we use our youth. Presently, 27% of my staff are youth. 17% of them are being housed by AYA. And for the second year in a row, we are one of the top 100 nonprofits in Oregon. So yes, we're like 1% of what you guys are doing, and we love collaborating with you, but we're off doing a bunch of other things. And I'll use the word we a lot. I'll apologize that, but I don't know where one job ends and another one starts. I sit on United Way's board, Wash the Shore, Focus, HUD, Bay Area Enterprise. I don't know, there's a dozen of them, a few state level ones, because it's about community. How do we all work together to do what we need to do? I'm gonna rip through these. Oh, there you go, some more numbers, because you guys haven't had enough numbers thrown at you already. And when I've got to be careful of my numbers. When I say we have 200 served, that is not just Coos Bay. We deal with multiple school districts throughout the coast, and some online stuff. We address mostly social emotional needs. We understand where we sit. There are people that do other jobs. I don't want to really give credit to Kayla back there. She does a great job. But once she was doing a great job in this, we knew that we needed to focus somewhere else. If somebody's doing a good job in it, let them do that. We'll figure out what else is needed in the community. Give you an idea. Last year, AYA brought on more housing units than anybody else in this county. Got a question. Why is a school, little tiny, won't use the word schmuck, little tiny school bringing on housing units? I sit on the HUD board. This year, that is the largest housing project happening in Coos County since the 1980s. These are things that build community. I mean, I've been a teacher for many years. I've worked inner city, Native American reservation, juvenile centers. But that's only one piece of a community. It takes all of us community members to make it work. And thank you for sitting on boards, because I could give you 100 times what you're getting paid right now, and it still would cost me nothing. Essential ingredients is having visions. The youth that we deal with are often homeless, generational poverty. And let me get back to the basic of why I'm here. A few meetings ago, there was a statement made, AYA has the highest dropout rate of any of your schools. The reality is the majority of the kids that we're dealing with, pretty much already disengaged from your other school districts. They were dropped out. We were like a one last chance, let's try this again. And a lot of our kids, those kids go nowhere until about age 22 or 23. And all of a sudden their brain kicks in and now we can do something with them. Well, it doesn't work on the statistics, but as a community, we know that somebody was still there for them. We built a relationship with them for years. Right now, my GED teacher was the parole officer. He's already got a relationship with half these kids. Vision. We bought the Charleston School a few years ago. We put in a Bureau of Labor and Industry pre-apprenticeship program for renewable energy, also 16 pieces of housing, and are collaborating with Architect, I don't know if anybody heard of that, to do some other trade school stuff. Having a real hard time coming to trade school. There seems to be nobody up at the state level. Our next big project, we're doing some stuff with virtual. My master's is in distant education. Done some stuff internationally, and these Oculuses are getting really cheap. You can do some really exciting things. But we've got another build coming online. We've already purchased, I don't know if you can think about east side, and you've got a piece of land right at the end that has like a sand pit there. We pulled out a 40-foot container of garbage out of there last year, you guys. We also picked up over 600 bags of garbage with students this summer. So in some of the trails at Tompkins Park, mountain bike trails, we maintain the mountain bike trails out of Seven Devils. Anyways, let me give you a picture of what we're up to. Cottage cluster, net zero housing on a land trust, which will create generational wealth for families, environmentally friendly and collaborative community building. That is a piece of the land. That's the way it happens, and that is a 3D model of what we're up to next. And that is an image model. So we are into the trades. We are letting kids use their hands because a lot of these kids that are failing out of school are actually really creative. They can build things. Here's the funny thing. They make more money than most of us that have really good educations now. If you can get in there and start building things, you're making six figures. So times have changed, and we're hoping we're changing with them. And that's it. I hope I got through that quick enough that then everybody can go to sleep. Questions?
I just have a comment. I saw your presentation at, like, I'll call it the housing summit. And I just wanted to say thank you for putting the work in with housing and taking on that responsibility and just recognizing the situations of your students and your families, because housing is tough right now. And I didn't know. That's where I learned that you guys have kind of taken on that effort in making sure that your families had homes. And with your housing that you do provide, is that transitional housing? Are they there for a certain amount of time and then they're assisted in finding other housing, or?
We have a step program. So we have pallet shelters,
Mm-hmm.
which is emergency. Then we have transitional, a couple 5-bedroom houses, and it's kind of a communal living. We also have subsidized housing where we help them get leases, and we will subsidize them for a certain amount of time. We have another program called Host Home. If anybody wants to take a kid in, we'll give you $500 just to give them a bedroom and let them stay there. So multiple programs. And I will say that what got me into this is one day I looked out at my classroom and 60% of them were homeless. Giving them a tent to say, go sleep in the back of the tent, ripping my heart out. So it just is something that became very passionate. And you can see the numbers. Every week we have to decide who we're going to put in a spot if we have a spot. There was way more homeless youth and families than we could ever. So, but you can't do education if you don't know where you're going to get your meal for, if you're feeling dirty because you couldn't take a shower the night before. So we have a really unusual spot. We're so small in what Coos Bay does as a district. And when I heard the statement that AYA has the highest dropout rate of all your schools, oh man, I gotta explain that. And I think I'm sure everybody understands why and the clientele and the lane that we're working in. So I apologize for those numbers. We do have an 80-20 split is the basic. So you get 20% for administration, we get 80% to supply the services. We serve about 500 individuals a year, and we're doing that at about 2,000 below the average ADM that a school district gets. And a lot of times we are feeding them, housing them, transporting them. So we get pretty creative to do these things. We write about an average of a grant, which means we're reporting a lot of stuff.
I just want to say it's been impressive to watch the growth. Because I've been here since '79, so I've watched from the beginning to where it is now. And it's impressive what you're doing. And I will tell you that I used to have to always tell staff at the high school, the reason your dropout rate looks better is because of the AYA. Because all of those kids would have been ours dropping out because they had already dropped out. I mean, mentally, as you had mentioned, they'd already gone. And you gave them an opportunity to put something back in the brain that said, I can make it. And I appreciate that. Always have and always will. So thank you for what you're doing. And you've been there for a long time.
Over 40 years.
Yeah. So wondering, it seems like you're a person with a lot of passion and vision. I really appreciate you coming to speak with us. If you had to distill it down to a couple of things, what do you think that we as the district could do better to house our students?
I'm also a very blunt person. That's
good.
Some people might say. Collaborate with somebody else because you don't want the insurance responsibility that comes with it. You're too large. Your insurance policy is way too big. Truthfully, we collaborate through the ARC. Melinda is also my employee as well as your employee. we've got some grant funding, about $100,000 in order to support that program because you do work with AYA directly. It's just, if you were to do the housing, the lawsuits that might come out of it, we're so small, when we get sued, we go out of business. It's really that simple, and someday something crazy might happen like that, but school districts should not take on that responsibility.
That's not, it won't necessarily mean that. I just, you mentioned collaboration and working together as a larger community. Are there things that school board members or the district could do to support your mission and collaborate with other people? Are there opportunities that we're missing to do better? Because it sounds like we're doing well, but there's always opportunity to improve.
You guys are doing incredibly well. I hope everybody knows Linda Torres. We've worked together for many, many years. The ARC and AYA are like almost one. She takes them in at the front door. She hands them to me at the back door. We work together. I said we have to decide who's in and out. She's at those meetings. Greg from Orca is also there. So we use multiple entities. DHS is also there. It's a collaboration, and you guys are at that. Melinda has done an incredible job. There's a reason she was ODE.
Yeah, teacher of the
Teacher of the. Yeah, now it's her council.
It wasn't teacher, but it was staff or something.
Staff or, oh, she got a big check.
I know. It was a good thing.
So you guys are there, and just keep doing what you're doing. We will try to keep making sure it's funded, because I think some money is actually going away next year for that McKinney Vento. Apparently, if we don't count homeless people, they disappear. At least that was the news story.
I've been pleased that we share her with our Ben as well now. I mean, that was a big thing to happen in this area, to get that to happen.
And we work at a state level as well on a couple different things. The time count's coming out. She's organized all the districts in Coosa County to make sure we get those numbers. And we've worked, I sit on something called the ROC, or the OC3, which is our state level for that. While they purge it at a federal level, we still track that. And we're one of the highest districts for youth and family homelessness. I'm not too sure if that's because we're counting better than some other places, or if it's really true. The fact is, we just have a problem everywhere. It's not going south. Although I will make one more little joke. Apparently, on what's happening in Cruz County, I am now getting paid by how many people I ship into areas. My board was really wanted to know how I was doing that, and they didn't know about it. This has been a rumor. Nobody ships them in there. Please dispel that. That's terrible, terrible. And no, I'm not getting paid for it.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
coming,
you.
Scott.
Yep.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, Scott.
All right, next up, we have Millikenna Marsh Trail presentation with Jamie.
Yes, I'm on.
Welcome, thank you for sticking
Big
around.
one is forward.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. It is.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me. This is a culmination of about 4 years of work. After I retired, the Millikenna Marsh Trail needed some work. I'm going to give you a brief history. You also have that history at the website. That's a link that I think David put on your list there, along with 2 documents. One's a few other partners besides that you heard from the city. They are our partner because they own part of the trail. And the other one is a list that I just started a couple days ago. Just wanted to know how many people that I dealt with through this last four years, and it's astounding, and it was pleasurable all the way. So this is the end of the marsh trail at what was originally called the W-shaped marsh, and it's, where do I point this guy?
Towards me.
Okay. Do I use this guy, the main button?
Yeah, the big one. Try again. Persnickety.
Yeah. So this area is mostly on fill. This is the only area that's the original marsh. So all this is fill. Most of it's Portland, Coos Bay School District, city. City owns this too. And those are the three trails that we've, the original Milcom Marsh Trail, which we put in with federal funds, Coastal Zone Management Act. When I looked out the back door when I first got the job at Milcom, I wanted to know how to get to the ocean, and that was a way, and South Slough helped me with that endeavor. The other trails were on existing levees that you can, if you were to walk out there early on, before, well, in the 90s, 80s, and 90s, there was no trees out there. There were no trees. This is what it looked like just after the trail was installed in 91. And the trail out to the south. But these are levees that existed, and so these were used as well. The school used this for running for cross country, etc. But this is the one we improved last year, the Swallow Loop Trail, and this year we improved the Milcom Marsh Trail. This is a nice view of that salt marsh. And in 2000, with the help of South Slough, I wrote a management plan to help with come up with 4 goals in that plan. One is habitat, it's education, recreation, which is the biggie. Access, making sure the access is good and accessible for all. And community support, because the school district doesn't have the funds to take care of more than some mowing, which Chile is on that list, by the way. So this was the original one that I asked for your permission to do, an OPRD Recreational Trails Program grant. That one didn't go through. The $138,000 failed that first year. They encouraged me to come back and do another one. In the meantime, so these are all the things that I wanted to do with the trail. The other things that had been done, like repairing the shelters, replacing the interpretive signs, but the trail itself needed redoing, and we wanted to add another one and increase the parking and trailhead. And so I went, plan B was to get local funders to do that. And so we got part of it done, the trailhead, parking, and along the way, thanks to, I think Arnie or Kim, somebody mentioned after you had a DEQ fine to put the money toward the trail, and that worked out perfectly. We got the culverts replaced for the Swallow Loop Trail, and part of the deal was we were to do some native plantings, which fits that habitat goal, and some interpretive signs. And so this was what I think I presented to you last time, what we've done, we're going to do, and we've got that done. It's a beautiful new trailhead with more parking. Looks nicer. The Swallow Loop Trail is done, which also helps with the cross-country team, etc. These are the 2 culverts that were put in, the planting behind the kiosk just east of the gazebo, and some of the signs that were also part of that DEQ SEP project. This one in particular I like because it shows the narrative along the trail, along those post trail markers, is that this place was looked different 100 years ago. If you were to look at the back toward the school where that stairway comes down, if you had been there 100 years ago on a king tide, you could have canoed to that lower stairs. So we're at the bottom of the stairs is 25 feet thick of fill, and you walk out to this point to take a turn, and that's where it drops off. And I like to say this is where the Clean Water Act stopped the march of filling wetlands. And when we got the first part done, what's my time here? Okay. Knife River got the contract, and they really enjoyed it. They don't normally see this type of project. They really enjoyed it. And this was one of my first students. Little Bobby Rose.
Bob Rose.
Yeah.
Class of 92.
Yeah. Right. So the next phase was to get the Milcom Marsh Trail done, and Cameron Angel, grandson of Bob Angel Construction, did a wonderful job with his small crew of one, and they did an extra 2 days of pro bono work to do the clearing of the side of the trail, as you can see here. And they did, this is not part of the contract, to do around the shelters, and they did that as part of their pro bono work, which is a great thing because we needed the match. And here's the OPRD sign in the center of the trailhead. And another part of the trail work that was done before Angel showed up was to remove a Eagle Scouts project, which was some fabric underneath the gravel that was starting to show, and that was going to be a problem for the contractor. So Destinations provided a crew, and we pulled it up, and this is the district's club car for maintenance. The Glenn Crooks class produced these 3 bollards for the parking lot, and those 3 students are listed on that list, so check them out. And we also bought some equipment because these are some of the shore pines we planted back in the 90s, late 80s, 90s with students, and they're starting to fall over. It's just not the right soil for those trees. So those and willows and blackberry, we needed equipment to do that. So part of the grant bought some battery operated tools. And here's the team, the crack team that Dominic from HGE, our facilities director, Loma, and this is Cameron Angel. We get lots of, well, this was this last week. We had a junior high event out there using the new trail, and apparently there were some records broken on this new trail, so that's good news. This is the view from back of the school, and I've been working with Kevin Wilhite to somehow bring the cameras out to the parking lot and the shed, because years ago we were robbed of some of the tools that we had in our possession for maintenance, etc. So that's the next effort. So if we have any money left, we'll be talking.
You have a fund balance as of yesterday. What was it, like 2,000?
Something like
300?
that. Yeah.
I think after all the projects, they were like about 2,350.
Okay.
Roughly.
Great. Have we gotten a check from OPRD yet?
I have not, but I only paid it on Friday.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Still early.
Right. Still early. Okay. Any questions?
How long
33
have those
seconds.
stairs been up there?
Pardon?
How long have those stairs been there?
The wooden stairs were built by Mr. Cohn's woodshop class in the early 90s.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think I heard that.
Yeah, they're not really code.
Yeah.
We well, I shouldn't say a couple years ago, it was looked into replacing them, and the cost for metal stairs was going to run upwards of $100,000. And so it was.
No one uses those though.
Oh yeah, there's two.
Are they-
On a daily basis.
Yeah.
Those stairs are used all the time, by lots and lots of people.
I was gonna say that for our new people, all of that is dredge spoil. So each of those dikes was an area that they used that dredged it all in there. So it's kind of weird dirt.
It's sandy soil. I did my first wetland delineation as part of this whole thing. The OPRD is very thorough, and so I dealt with a lot of agency folks. And it's lots of sand and shell. There's certain places that get the tribes very excited because they see the shell and they think middens. But it's all from the native oyster from the bottom of the bay, and it's uneven as far as where they get their material and how it's spread out.
Just the right of that vehicle that's parked up top. That area of those stone paver deals.
Uh-huh.
Those done by junior high students in the 90s as well.
That's right.
Because I remember them talking about it when I was at Sunset. And I was like,
Yeah.
our school is burned down, so we got to go to Arctic. You guys got to flip those things out.
I have a picture of Wayne Young with students out there putting him in there. That was when, I don't know. And he built that gazebo before the trail was put in. He got red tagged on it too because he didn't get a permit.
It's still,
So you know where the big
it
money
needs-
comes from. The fire department and the Coos Bay School District wanted to get rid of a house we had. And it was old, so they had a fire in the burn. It had asbestos that hasn't been taken out. So they came back and they said, oh, we're gonna fine you for doing what you did. I don't know if they fined the fire department, but they fined us.
Yeah.
Because it's our fire department. Yeah, I think that's right. And so we think somebody looked it up, and I know Tim and I both said, if we have to pay it, can we give it to somebody instead of paying it? And they said, yeah, that's fine. We don't really need the money. So
Yeah, I would have had to go out for more funds, grant funds, because I had to use some of the actual match funds from one of the donors that was supposed to be for the OPRD on that project, the last year's project. So.
sometimes serendipitously.
Serendipity plays a big part.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work and dedication. Really excited to hear
It's
this.
fun. My wife thinks I live somewhere else.
All right, next up, we have some policy updates.
all right.
And Patty hasn't been high-fiving us or anything up there? 'Cause I
No.
can't see her. Okay.
Nope, I'm still here.
All right. Since it's still early, I'd like to go through these line by line, if you don't mind.
What?
I was joking. Yeah, so we have some policies in first reading for adoption. The first one will be advisory committees to the board. We removed the language of educational equity advisory committee. And we moved it to a superintendent committee as the laws changed around that. We did ask if we were allowed to change the name, and we did get approval to change the name, and it said in the policy update, if you change the name, change it everywhere in the policy. So that's what you'll see in that policy as we went through and changed it to Student Success Committee, which is what we elected to call that superintendent committee. Board members' stipends and reimbursements. That we changed the title and we added some language about board stipends. The conversation around that was to not prevent people in the future from seeking a role on the school board due to financial constraints that they had. That maybe they couldn't afford childcare or fuel to come to board meetings, those types of things. So it provides the board an opportunity to receive stipends for their work. No one has to take them, and it is only the amount that is budgeted, which for this year is 0. But in the future, it opens the door so we can have those conversations should we want to move that direction. Educational. Let's see. We elected to, this was an optional policy. It wasn't a current one that we had, just kind of outlining what that committee is to do. We also added this optional policy for military leave of absence. We added some updates so that it would comply with the ORS.
That's staff leave of absence, like the reservists, or what is that?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, sorry, I was getting into it. Directory information. There was a lot of changes to this. Some of them kind of difficult to circumvent. So we are working on ways to not have to change all of our football rosters moving forward and still be able to have senior night and those types of things. because grade level is something that is not considered directory information any longer. Height and weight, you could say, but you can't say that they're in ninth grade. So we're working on that to get parent permission, which probably won't be much of a stretch. I mean, I think parents don't mind if you say, my kid's a senior and play football, you know, or something like that. So we're working on that.
This policy also came up at our superintendent Friday forum a few weeks ago when I brought it up, and Friday forum I brought it up at 8:55, I leave at 9, and for our admin huddle, and they were on until about 9:20 because it took so many superintendents by surprise, and they said, no, that's not true, and then the OSBA person's kind of, yes, it is, and then OD chimed in a little bit too, and it started a chain reaction, and so lots of districts are scrambling for this.
I figured they would be. When I read it finally, we were in our policy, I thought, this is ridiculous. This must be a mistake.
Yep.
And they checked it, and it was not a mistake.
I'm just saying.
But, you know, forever, we've always put down grade level kids. But apparently, in the issues with respect to kidnapped kids and other kinds of things, it's an identifiable characteristic of people that other people who are looking for kids can use to find them. So it is now you have to get permission from the parents to use the grade level.
We're working
I
on
don't
a
think anybody in the whole
short-term
state
plan
knew.
and a long-term plan.
I don't think anybody in the state knew it.
No, it
Except
was,
OSBA.
there was about 3 superintendents out of the 100 that were on there that had, like, yeah, and then everybody else was like, no, grade levels, no. Spencer from OSBA. Yep.
Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry about that, guys, exactly.
All right, next one is JFCEBAR, which is to request exceptions for the personal electronic device restrictions. Then we have JFCEB, the associated policy with that AR. It's a new version. We had this policy previously, but with all of these changes, it's a lot different.
Can I kick off some discussion about this? Because I've been thinking and reading about this policy a lot. So I just want to say, sort of first and foremost, I disagree with how this got dropped in our laps. So this personal electronic device thing that's coming down was a bill, and it didn't have enough votes to pass. So the governor pulled it out and made it an executive order. And I just think that's wrong. We don't need executive orders to tell us how to do things. We need consensus legislature. But that's sort of besides the point. The bigger deal, I guess I want to say is, you know, I've been in Coos County now for 5 years. I spend about 25% of my life on call to the ER. That means that about every 4th day, I get called to the ER to do something like take out an appendix or things like that. There's what's called the ER board. It has initials, age, and chief complaint, reason you're in the hospital. There has not been a single day that I can remember in 5 years that I have been here that I have not seen a minor in the hospital for suicide in the 5 years I've been here. And the data is overwhelming and clear that social media use before the age of 16 is detrimental to students and increases suicidal thoughts and behaviors. So I think I understand that our building administrators feel like our current cell phone policy is working well. We've heard from our student representative, they think our current cell phone policy is working pretty well. I'm going to just stand up and say, I don't think it goes far enough. So the data is very clear. If you put your cell phone here on silent, don't touch it, it's a distraction. If you put it in your backpack on silent, don't touch it, it's a distraction. But if you put it in another room and you say don't touch it, it's still a distraction if your friend has one. Okay. So the problem with the current policy as I see it is that it requires teachers and building administrators to enforce it. And the ways that they enforce it will be different. So I think our district needs to move to lockers. I don't think the pouches are a good idea. And the reason I don't think the pouches are a good idea is because they are not tamper-proof. They are like textbooks. It will be a constant expense for the district forever because they will wear out, they will be broken, we will have a loss rate of those things. I think we need a cell phone locker system, something, permanent. And I understand, open campus of Marshfield makes it challenging, but then have the students check it in and check it out. And what you'll find, I think, is that people are going to hate it for about 2 months, and then people are going to be really happy we did it. And so I understand we might not be able to move to this policy, this month and then implement it in January. But I don't think this current policy goes far enough to protect our students and give them the 8 hours a day free from cell phones that they need to grow into healthy and functioning adults. Just like decades ago, when we were beginning to understand the harms of tobacco, people started making rules about it. The same thing is happening with cell phones. If you look at the country of Australia, the entire country of Australia has banned social media use before the age of 16. They didn't figure out how to implement it. Their legislators said it is on the social media companies. We will, the users of social media may sue social media companies who don't verify ages and make sure people under the age of 16 cannot get on social media. Now, obviously, we don't live in that environment. We live in the United States, and such a restrictive rule would probably never be a thing we should have here. But I do think that here in Coos County, we can respond to the data that's out there and our lived experience, which is we have far too many students who suffer with suicidal thoughts. We have far too many students who suffer with anxiety and depression. And we know that cell phones are bad for that. So thanks for policy committee. I'm sorry I wasn't able to come the other week, but put a lot of thought into this one. And I really do think we should go further than the current draft policy says.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
David, would you like to pick up where you left off then too? Or was that it?
Is your suggestion that we don't move forward with this policy and revise now? Or is it that we move forward with this while understanding that you'd like to revisit and work towards a more restrictive policy?
I think that we should probably move forward with the current policy because the state has a strict timeline for us. Implementing a policy that requires purchase of services or implementing things, but if we could adopt this policy and move towards something more restrictive. So there's a great book. It's called The Anxious Generation, and there's like an Atlantic article. But so when we think about cell phone policies, we should think about them in 5 different tiers. So tier 1 is we do nothing, free range. Tier 2 is we say don't do it. Tier 3 is is what the policy that we're proposing is, which is put it in your backpack or your locker. We don't want to see it. Okay. Tier 4 is a pouch or a thing that it's still on the student's body, and they can have it locked and unlocked, by a teacher with a magnetic key or whatever. And then tier 5 is locked away in another room in a physical space. And each of those tiers, as you go up, it minimizes the distraction that phone causes to the student. Because the problem with those pouches is that even if it's in a pouch, it doesn't mean that Warren doesn't have his phone out. So I'm still thinking about it even when I'm supposed to be doing that. Not that you would ever have your cell phone out.
Or scissor stove.
Right. Yeah. And or scissors stove, things like that. And so I think that we should probably adopt the policy we have here so that we can be compliant with state regulations, but I do think we should move to a level 4 or level 5 policy going forward, because I think it's the best thing for our students.
You are correct in terms of the pouches. There's quite a few, ironically, TikTok videos that have made the rounds on how to hack the pouches, how to break the magnetic seals with paper clips and things of that nature. Districts that have invested the money for those pouches, many of them are now regretting, because you're, like you said, like textbooks, like curriculum, you're ordering 1,000 of them a year to backfill at $30 a pouch, or it's a big encumbrance.
I mean, honestly, a much better solution is something that any handyman could build with a bunch of little slots and a padlock, right? Like, I mean, it's, I don't think we need to invest $70,000 and ongoing thousands of dollars in a high-tech solution to this. But I do think we need to think logistically about a low-tech and probably unpleasant. I'm sure, Eli, rolling this out in the high school is going to be incredibly unpopular and difficult. But I do think it's the best for our students. The data is very clear that we have a mental health crisis in our nation, and it doesn't, it impacts us here. Part of it is that we are allowing students to have so much distraction and so much online exposure too early in life. And we as a school district can band together and set rules for the hours that we have our students that are healthier.
I agree, and thank you for stating that so succinctly. I am wondering if it doesn't matter to me. We can either not. We can take this as it is now, approve of it, and then work on it again. But I also want to give Superintendent Roberts some time to talk with his administrators, because I think you're right. I think there are solutions there, but they are going to take some capacity of some people.
Right.
And I don't know who those people will be, and what each of his administrators are how they might suggest it works in their particular buildings. So giving him some time to talk with them and think about what solutions would work.
I think there's going to be a huge community pushback as well, parents.
That's
But there hasn't been a ton of
the school districts that implemented this early. The biggest complaint was not from the kid. It was from the parents.
Right.
And so this policy, I think, helps the parents get into the mode of understanding that kids don't have it all the time there either. And they finally realize that, oh, I guess kids can be okay with that. I guess we can still get a hold of them. We can call the school.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things that's really important as a community education piece is that the reason that most parents get upset about this is because they want access to their student. In general, that access acts as what's called an experience blocker, meaning that instead of allowing your student to learn how to go find another adult when something changes, how to find the building principal and figure something out, they reach out to their parent to solve their problem for them. And then the other thing is school safety, right? We all live in the age where something tragic is unlikely but could happen at a school, and so parents are afraid of that. The problem is that having that child's cell phone go off in a dangerous situation is actually more dangerous. And when they've done sort of retrospective studies of school events, what they generally find is that the information students were able to relay via their cell phones was either unable to be relayed because the cell phones didn't work, or it was inaccurate, or it was potentially harmful. And so having students having cell phones doesn't make them safer. It might make the parent feel less anxious, but it does not make their students safer. And so they can have access to their student the same way we've been able to have access to our students for generations, which is you can either go to the school and talk to somebody, or you can pick up the phone, which is, and talk through the normal chain of command, but you don't need to be able to reach your student while they're in class. Right.
I don't think I'm familiar with the pouch.
It's these things, it is a thing that students are asked to put their cell phone in, that then is magnetically locked in a
And then
way
it goes
that,
where?
so each school is different. So some of
Is
them,
it here or is that out?
we don't have it here.
Okay,
It's
we
something
don't
that
have
many
pouch.
school districts have invested in as a way to limit students' access to cell phones. So you give every student a pouch. At the beginning of the day, the teacher says, okay, put your cell phones in the pouch. So everybody lifts their pouch, they put their cell phone in, and then there's a locking mechanism with a magnet where they all get locked and they go into the backpacks or they go into a locker. And so everybody knows that nobody has a cell phone. And so that's meant to help minimize distractions. Problems with the pouches, and they're sort of like, they sort of work on the same thing as, you know, those things that they put in your clothes that if you forget to remove, it's a pain in the butt. The magnetic tags. It's the same idea as those magnetic tags.
And there's a
There's a way to make it
contract. So with the Department of Administrative Services, if one school district gets a good deal with a company, I believe they're called Yonder Pouches, that other districts can back off of that deal and that contract rather than go through all of the normal bidding process. And right now, one came out from, I think, Beaverton School District, and their best rate was $30 at a pouch, which for us would be upwards of 50,000 just for the initial. And they're saying they're breaking like hundreds every day intentionally, and that is a cost. I mean, we're just looking at Chromebook use and Chromebook abuse. Those pouches would never be able to survive a couple of days.
We're not
with
even
email.
considering that right now.
Right.
We're just looking.
No, but that is the input from the
But
other
that's sort of, so a lot of, as this, you know, I talked about those 5 tiers, right? Like kind of do nothing all the way up to lock them away. And so pouches are sort of this tier 4 thing where people are really, they want to do more than what we're currently planning to do with our policy. They don't want to build anything. They want a ready solution that they can purchase. And the pouches are sort of the ready solution you can purchase. And now that people have been using them for a little bit, we're realizing like maybe they don't work as well as anybody was hoping this solution would work.
Yeah, Glenn builds something for the students.
Exactly.
So it sounds like, thinking about our goal number 4, we've got some best practice to consider. And then we've also got a messaging conundrum to consider. And we have some workload on some school staff. So, but that would be his action item. And maybe one of our action items is then to discuss how to pivot this, if possible, so that the message, when we get to that work of working on this policy, so that we can pivot the message for families.
So that would be the work of the policy committee. And you would work with OSBA and the legal team and Spencer to, you know, work on what up, maybe even borrowing from what other school districts do, if that was something that we were gonna move forward, but we could pass this policy in regards to the timeline and being in compliance.
Yes, and I would suggest that's how we move. And
Yes.
if I may make a suggestion, we are, as Gary mentioned, working on a student survey. It might be nice to ask the students about the cell phone policy. It might be nice to provide them some of that information on, here are some studies that show the detrimental use of cell phones. And this could also go to families.
Absolutely.
But it might be nice to, because at the beginning of your statement, and I agree with you completely. In fact, I actually prefer tier 6 where your kids don't have a cell phone. That's where I would prefer it. I understand that's not the world we live in, but I do agree with you. But I also agree with at the beginning of your statement where you said we work on consensus. So we need to figure out what our community actually has an appetite for for. Whether you and I agree that this is the right thing to do, and I do agree with you. If we don't have buy-in from the community, it's bound to fail. Right. So maybe that survey is a way we can gauge the appetite and give them a few here are the tiers. Where are you most comfortable? Here is what the studies show is most effective. Here is what happens with cell phone use and social media particularly. But maybe outlining that in a survey where they can actually give us their feedback. And then we use that in the policy committee to then develop a policy that would be accepted by our community and we think would maybe go further. Does that sound like inappropriate?
Absolutely. That sounds good. I also like the idea of talking to the building administrators and teachers, because teachers are going to have lots of ways they might be able to, again, sort of pivot this whole thing to where children and families feel like they have some, I don't know if control is the right word, but certainly input.
Well, and really it's about the high school and both high schools, Destinations and Marshall, because the junior high already has a policy that cell phones go in lockers. So it's really working with the administrators and teachers in those two buildings on adjustments and improvements.
Hopefully there'll be some data soon that will be able to support that the education and the kids in the classroom and grades and things are moving in the right direction, because that was the whole idea, is that everyone is distracted by cell phones.
Oh, I think there's tons of data out there about cell phones and education and distractions, mental health, all of it.
I'm sorry.
David, did you have any more updates on the policy or was that the end of it or?
If discussion's over, I do have.
Yeah, I'd like to just move us along because it's 8:30.
Okay. So moving that forward in first reading, it will be up for adoption at our next, actually it'll be up for adoption at our data meeting. It will be one of the few items because of the requirements in the timeline. So we have first readings for deletion. We have our old electronic device and social media policy. That one's going the way of the dodo bird for the new one. We merged this release time for students in with policy JEF. They were very similar, so we merged those two policies. The rest of these policies are covered in other policies, or they're covered in the communicable disease plan that our district nurses put together. They're all covered in other statutes and requirements that we have as a district. So they were no longer required, and OSBA recommended deleting those policies. So that is why they are on there. And that is all I have for policy updates, unless anyone has any further questions.
Thank you so much.
So we have some action items. We have appoint 2 board members to the superintendent committee to discuss charter schools.
Do you have to do a motion on these policies or
They were
no?
just first reading, so we don't adopt them.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
sorry, my fault.
Yes, as you're aware, we have a couple of charter schools within our district, and at least one of them is up for a charter renewal. So we're looking for a couple of board members to join a committee with myself and some district office personnel to review charters and review our charter programs to get them for the future.
I'm here to be sitting up straight.
Arnie, I'll do one.
I'll volunteer if no one else does.
So I do 1, 2, and then back up if they can't make it, or?
I'll be back up. Why don't I do that?
I'm kind of interested.
Me and Arnie, and then we'll.
That would be, and Dr. Augustine, your free day for meetings is Fridays. Okay. So maybe not the same day as facilities.
Thank you. Do we have any other action items that popped up, David, that we should be making happen? No, okay.
Nope.
Okay, board member highlights. Maybe it's starting to circle. We can start with you, Lauren. What some pop up?
You might want to take a vote on.
The nominees.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Arnie, Dr. Rogowski.
Those two, and then
Be a
the
substitute.
alternate.
Okay,
Maybe
as,
add in maybe, right?
okay, and then also alternates, Abby and Dr. Rosengarten, sorry, to, as alternates to these committees. Somebody else second
You
it.
second that? Yeah, thank you, Diane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. Thank you, Katie.
Well, for a second, Dr. Akowski, you were going to oppose and you were late under hand.
Wait a second.
I saw someone raise their hand. I wonder, he has to count them, right? So.
I just listened for the year name.
Yeah.
Zero, okay.
My only highlight was that it's this meeting.
Yes.
There we go.
The highlight was Thailand in this meeting.
My highlight is, I got to see music education. So one of our key performance indicators is that we have 100% music education in that 3 through 6. I attended classroom with Thomas Hill and Stacy Tate. I actually saw band practice with, his first name, Roland Cruz, but
John
Cruz. But I just have nothing but wonderful things to say about the music education that we're currently doing in the district. Learned all about the ORF method and how the xylophones. Anyway, it was just left with just joy that our students are getting fabulous music education. So we should be proud as a district of that, providing that for our students.
And if you were around a few years ago, we were a little short on our M at the football games, and we have a full M with our marching band.
Yeah.
And they're doing great. And I'm going to work with Mr. Cruz and Stacy and Thomas on instruments for those 3-6 for our 6th grade bands.
Diane, did you
Yeah,
have,
speaking of that, I just got a grant agreement application, or a grant application from Mr. Hill, and requesting full new instruments for his ORF method for all of Alcoma students, and hopefully we'll get some funding for that. This was the Community Schools Foundation.
that's wonderful. Diane, did you have?
The only thing I attended the open house for Destinations, and so that was lovely, and it was a tour guided by leadership kiddos at Destinations, so that was great. The school looks beautiful. The kids were proud of where they were attending schools, and the staff there was brilliant and kind, and yeah, overall good experience there.
And Addie, did you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I went to the Teacher of the Year ceremony at Sunset earlier this month, I guess, last month. It was really nice, and the teacher who won was very appreciative, and the number of wonderful things that were said about her was really very encouraging, that we have staff that rises to that level. So
Well, I didn't do anything as that exciting, but I did donate apples.
Oh, nice.
For 2 pre-K classrooms who made juice.
Oh,
And drank it, and they counted them, and they did patterning activities.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thankful for this adventure today. I was at a soccer game, and then here I am, and then yeah, so thank you guys.
Thank you for leading the meeting tonight.
Yes, great job.
You were in that.
All
That was
right.
it for you, Arnie, was being in the meeting? Okay,
Yeah, me too.
all right.
Good.
Thank you guys very much. Have a great, safe night.
9:30. Got myself an